Mercer. There's a strange phenomenon that takes place at the Mercer grave, and that is that the azaleas always are in bloom. The family blames me. Well, his niece, Nancy Gerard, and I were friends. We sang together in the Savannah Philharmonic Choral Society for many years. They were always giving me permission. You had to have permission, like with the Travel Channel, to film a particular grave site. Some you didn't have to, but for them you did. And their promise, my promise, was that if you allow me to cover the grave or to film there, I will always sing a medley of Johnny Mercer songs to keep his memory and the momentum. I grew up on Johnny Mercer Drive, never knowing who and how famous he was. This is his brother. He had two older brothers, actually half-brothers. The far right is his wife Ginger. The second one is Johnny Mercer, and his beloved mother Mary, his father, his grandmother, and then this is his nieces. Notice the azaleas. Notice the sago palms, his rags to riches. His father was a lawyer and insurance salesman, of course, after the Depression. His father never filed bankruptcy like most people did. And Johnny Mercer actually came back to Savannah years later and gave his father a check for $330,000 to pay off all of his debtors. Johnny didn't want to be an insurance salesman. Their summer home was south of here near the Wormslow Plantation. It was at Pinpoint. And they would go out there, and he would love to go out on the docks and hear the African women sing as they were shucking oysters and peeling crabs. He loved jazz. He was born in November 18th, 1909, but when he was 18 years old, he stowed away on a ship out of Savannah's port bound for New York. He ended up in New York in Harlem and became an actor. He met his lovely wife, Ginger, whose family were Croatian immigrants. She was a dancer on Broadway and who was dating an unknown Bing Crosby at the time, so he sort of stole her. They eloped and got married. And of course, he was an actor, but it was his songwriting abilities. He did not play an instrument and he couldn't read music. He was just a great lyricist of his day. He wrote over 1,800 songs, was nominated for 18 Academy Awards, and he won 4 of them. The Friends of Johnny Mercer Society erected a bench here. There's a replica of this bench in Johnson Square, which is in downtown Savannah, across from Christ Church, the mother church where he attended as he lived here. It lists the songs. He was also, after he became famous in New York, moved to California. He was the co-founder of Capitol Records, which still exists today, that brought the Beatles, the Stones, and so many prominent musicians. But in May of 1976, now he and his wife Ginger had a very tumultuous relationship. His true love was Judy Garland, it's been reported, and that Ginger and Judy had many famous clashes about claiming her husband as her own. They had two children, no biological children, 2 adopted children. John Jr., adopted in 1944, and a daughter, Amanda, adopted in 1942 from the same Augusta, Georgia orphanage in the 1940s. In 1976, he discovered that he had an inoperable brain tumor. No one would operate on him until doctor number 7 agreed to do so. Ginger was totally against it, but he had the surgery anyway. It left him mute and paralyzed. And in their beautiful Beverly Hills home, instead of tending to him, she put him back in one of the guest houses with a nurse. And on June 25th, 1976, which was his wife Ginger's 64th birthday, he died. The family says he hung on long enough to tell her goodbye. But there's other stories that suggest something a little more less loving. Regardless, she lived to 1990.